This video is gonna be a little bit more off the cuff, and it does help that it's actually the second time recording this. I forgot to change the setting on my recording, like my voice recording when I was doing this the first time, and that made the audio from my microphone a little bit stuffed, and well, you could not really hear anything that I was saying because it would keep cutting out because of the noise gate. So I'm doing this again, and it's probably going to be less emotional and a little bit more yappy than I did it the first time, but that's okay. We all make mistakes, we all lose in life, and with every loss also comes a gain. It's always equilibrium, you know? I want to talk about healing in this video, I think. I don't really know. Wow, I am really bad. I don't know what the best word for it is, but I think healing is the best way to describe it, where, you know, because of the experiences that I've gone through, I've changed, and I have to recover, and, you know? I think all of us have some degree of trauma. How big that is, how much trauma we have, definitely depends on, you know, what we go through, what we prioritize, and all trauma should be healed through. You know, like, I'm not here to say, oh, just because my trauma is more significant, right? Just because, you know, an army veteran's trauma is more significant, that your trauma is invalid, that, you know, you should just suck it up and move on. No, there's definitely degrees to this thing, but all trauma is trauma. All mental health struggles are equally difficult to the individual. And I want to talk about my experience healing, and with that comes, you know, my experience not healing. I talked about a lot of what I went through in the last episode. I didn't do as much detail as I wanted because the trauma is still relatively fresh to me, and I not only wanted to keep that video succinct, but I also didn't have perfectly the words to explain what I was going through. Did I soft lock? I did. I didn't know how to express myself correctly. And I don't think I'm going to go through too much more detail in this video than I did the last one. I don't fully remember what I said in the last one, to be fair, but I definitely will talk about it a little bit more, I think, in kind of graphic detail. This is actually really frustrating. Maybe I shouldn't have played parkour for my recording. Oh, that's good sight reading. That's not where I meant to jump. Okay. Let's just continue yapping. For those of you who didn't watch the last video, and for those of you who don't have context as a result, I went through conversion therapy. I'm trans, and my parents were not approving of that, so they forced me through conversion therapy, and I still am trans. Conversion therapy doesn't work, but oh, that's not where I meant to jump. But I'm definitely changed. I'm different because I went through it. If you don't come through that kind of thing unscathed. For me, conversion therapy took in the form of forcibly cutting my hair, taking away my girl clothes, and putting me in social situations where I have to present more masculinely than I would desire. And obviously, others have gone through, other conversion therapy practices. Walking on hot coals is a famous one. But regardless, united in grief, we are. No. We may grieve different, but united in grief, we are. I didn't cut off my parents just because of the conversion therapy, but also because they continued to harass me. I didn't ever explicitly set a boundary with them. That's very difficult for me because of the Asian culture that I grew up in, but also because of the power dynamic that is natural to parent-child relationships. They have the finances, etc., etc. I never quite found myself able to express that with them, but I did try to make it clear in whatever ways I could that I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to have this relationship because they've proven to be unable to be sufficient. They've proven unable to be good in their relationship with me. They've proven that they don't care for me and only want a trophy child, so to speak. A kind of kid that I can show off to other people. Oh, look at my kid and how much better they are than yours. And I'm a human being. I'm not a trophy. I'm not an object for others to use. I have my own feelings, and disregard for them will lead to this kind of situation. However, this also means I've lost a lot, not just because, I went through conversion therapy and lost physical attributes that I enjoyed, along with kind of innocence and mental health that I wanted to have, that I worked on prior to them for a few years, healing from compulsory heterosexuality, compulsory what's it called? Compulsory cisgenderness, I guess. And also healing from the parental traumas I had before then. Not all of which I can speak on too well because my memories of, younger times are rather foggy, but yeah, this one's annoying. I don't care. But okay, I probably want to jump on the wall, as the title says. That's probably important. Where was I? Oh yeah, loss. You know, I lost a lot of things going through conversion therapy, and cutting off my parents was also a loss for me from a financial sense, along with a lot of emotional attributes as well. From a young age, I've always prided myself in my good academics, even though I didn't really have too much of an enjoyment for academics. My parents put a lot of focus on it, and that was also the same for a lot of my friends' parents, to, my friends, because of Asian culture and how a lot of my friends were Asian. And so, to some degree, I always believed that every kid had a similar structured belief, or at least every kid in the classes that I went to, especially because most of my classes were, advanced or accelerated classes, and as such, the kids in there were more likely to be nerds, like I was and still am to a degree. I realized later in life that academics aren't everything, that there is a world outside of it, and that world can be a lot more fruitful, a lot more colorful than the world of academics. I don't want to do this one. This parkour course is awful. But yeah, I started to place a lot less importance on academics later in life, because it's not what I enjoy. I enjoy helping others. I enjoy doing mental health support work, as I've done kind of as a volunteer in previous life experiences, but also having gone through not that much therapy, but at least a little bit, I can tell that it's definitely something that I enjoyed the effects of, to the degree that I have, and I want to provide that for other people. Got lucky with that one. However, it's hard to fully rewire your brain's thought process, and so I still do place significance on academics, especially back when I was in school, because my parents still do care about academics. And so, no longer being in school and having the academic credentials of, a PhD or a master's, it feels like, oh, there's a class there. You're so helpful. Oh, there's a class there as well. Like, I'm sorry. It just feels like I've let down. I've let down myself. I've let down my former self, and I've let down my modern self as well, because now my job prospects are significantly weaker as a result. It's not that I regret the decision, oh, that way first. I know that cutting off my parents and being in this situation that I am now is definitely a lot better for me from a mental health perspective and from a future life perspective. I knew that I kind of always would have to cross this bridge after the conversion therapy that I went through during fall break and after how my parents treated me during winter break. I wouldn't say it was fully conversion therapy, but definitely had similar aspects in terms of attitude and along with a lot of social isolation and things like that. I knew that I'd have to be at this point when it comes to my relationship with my parents. I'd have to, you know, no longer have them and tell my children in the future that, hey, you're not gonna have grandparents because the grandparents that you do have, at least on my side, is that they're awful people. That, you know, when God rolled the dice for when I was born, that I got the one and they got the two. The they being my children, of course. Whoever they might be. I need to stop rushing this. Proceeds to rush it. God, I really am awful. Hello? Okay. Now just overjump it. That's wonderful. I don't know if I will go back to school. Oh, right. I don't care anymore. I don't know if I'll go back to school in the future. If I do, I'll definitely be in psychology instead of robotics engineering, which was what I was in before. And it definitely won't be the same school, not because I dislike the school particularly, but I don't think I could be safe in America given everything that's going on there now and the fact that my parents are there. I've been crying about this a lot. Not ever since, you know, I cut my parents off. I've thought about this, like the fact that, oh wow, I'm bad. I'll have to look at my kids and say, hey, I'm a fucking failure. You know? I'm in many ways not the person that you should look up to. And in many ways, a failure to myself. Something that I hope you don't have to be. And, you know, every time I talk about this to my friends, they say, it's out of your control. You know, like you're doing the best that you can when you rolled the low roll. You got the unlucky dice. But it doesn't change the fact that I still feel that way. You know, that I still feel like I've kind of just been a waste of resources to some extent, and that I'm not deserving of where I am today. You know, at least having food, water, and shelter to the extent I do have. And I say that holding the belief that things like food, water, shelter is, you know, universal rights, but it doesn't change the fact that some farmer, some farm hand had to pick the crops that I eat, you know? That some worker has to make the packaging for the cereal or the bread that I consume. Okay, I need to not... What? Wow, okay. I cannot play Minecraft today, apparently. Whatever. This video is pretty close to done anyways, I think. So I don't want to spend too much time on this course. I'm here though, you know, and I'm surprised that I am. If you asked me back when I was a teen, back when I was in middle school, if you told that kid that they'd be alive, they'd be alive so many years in the future, they tell you that, well, they either tell you that I'm miserable, or they tell you that what the hell is this? They tell you that I'm alive but miserable, or... Okay, that's not how you do that. That's also not how you do this. That's also not how you do this. What? Did it. There we go. One moment. No, that way. Oopsie. Got away with pain. Sorry, I had to focus up for that one. I don't really feel like doing that. Yeah, but if you told me... If you told a kid that I was a few years ago, back when I was a teen, that they'd be alive, you know, so many years down the line, that they'd be in the world, they'd either tell you that that's just a lie, or that I'm miserable, you know, that I force my way through every day of life, that, you know, I wake up and I stay in bed for 3 hours and have to push myself to even brush my teeth or eat, and, you know, that's far from the case. I don't want to say that I'm always happy, because I'm not. I'm recording a video about loss, about failure in life, and admittance and acceptance of that, you know, failure and loss, because I'm not feeling okay about it, because I'm still recovering from the trauma and the loss and everything that life has thrown my way, and I have this quite often, to be quite honest. A few days ago, I had another one of those kind of moments, and I was decided to talk to a friend about it. And I told her, you know, I'm here and I'm fighting for the world to become a better place. I'm putting my effort when I can, where I can, into making sure that the next generation doesn't have to go through what I have gone through, what I have suffered through, that the next generation can have things like free healthcare, free food, free shelter, or at least shelter that's a lot cheaper than it is now, a lot more affordable, and in that sense free. Guaranteed with existence, let's say. And on top of that, I'm fighting for trans rights. I'm fighting for my existence as a person. And I'm fighting for the hope that no one else has to go through conversion therapy in the future. Not the hope that no one has to, but rather a future where no one has to. I'm fighting for... That guy's pretty grim. I'm fighting for a world where, you know, I am in a similar situation to Katniss Everdeen at the end of the Hunger Games. Her kids are dancing on a meadow, and she says that, you know, they don't know that they're dancing in a graveyard because they buried the bodies of the Revolutionary War in the meadow, under the meadow grass. And to some extent, I hope that, too. I hope that my children get to not necessarily dance on a graveyard, that's quite gruesome, but that same feeling of looking at them being able to dance happily, knowing that they are able to go through every day living it, not surviving it, but living it, doing that active act that took a long time for me to learn, for others to learn, and isn't taught at all in schools and households today. Pretty fast. I need to get better at this game. I then continued to talk to my friend because I wasn't feeling better after giving that little spiel, and I said, like, how much work do I have to put in? Where's the end to my struggle? Where's the end to my quest, so to speak, to make the world a better place? Because I stand in a graveyard. I know that's not visible, but there are many people in the world who gone through similar things to what I went through, and well, they're not here to talk about it. Eden Knight, who had her medicine taken away by force and died by her own hand as a result of it. Or Leela Alcorn, who went through conversion therapy similar to me. Her parents forced her through it, and she's not here either. Hasn't been here for 10 years. I miss my sister. We're not related, but I mean, we kind of are. They're resting now, but they're not resting easy at all, because under every grave, they toss and turn, waiting for the day where the world is different, and that people like them won't happen again. That people will go through their life and never have a thought of leaving, much less having acts done onto them that would persuade them to leave. And I still sit here today in that same graveyard amongst the bodies, and I'm waiting for the meadow grass to grow back so people, so my children can dance in the grass fields, dance among the flowers, among the trees. But the grass seeds haven't been planted yet, much less, the sprinklers placed, the fertilizer thrown. The cemetery is going to be here for a while, and as much as I don't like that, that's how it's going to be, regardless of how much I try to change it. Not that I'm going to give up. I will start, going down the fields, putting down the water lines, and building the infrastructure, but the field's quite large, and I'm only one person. I guess I want to end this video by talking about, not talking about, but rather planting the first few seeds, the first kind of, shoveling the snow from winter and starting to move into spring, so to speak. And the first seed is treat others with kindness, regardless of who they are. Well, there's a few exceptions. People like Elon Musk, Republican politicians in general. They can definitely be treated with contempt for their crimes against us, their crimes against humanity, but I think for mostly everyone else, they're just as lost as we are, and to the extent that they do deserve kindness, they do deserve humanity. Two people in my life, very important people in my life, did not treat me that way. In fact, treated me the opposite of that way, and I'm here despite that, not because of that. I'm here because so many other people have treated me with kindness and allowed me to push through to where I am now. And I don't live for those moments. I don't live for the kindness of others, but I live because of it. Similar to how a train doesn't move because, or a train doesn't move for more fuel, but rather to transport passengers through fuel. It, does things like transport passengers and transport cargo because of fuel. The train, goes through life because of kindness, my fuel, and other people in life work that way as well. It doesn't hurt. You don't lose anything by being kind. And other people gain so much from it. The second thing is, I want to continue doing this. I want to continue working on trans activism, on humanitarian activism, in the little ways that I can, given my circumstances right now. And I've been watching a lot of VR chat content, VR chat trans content recently. Along with VTubers. Yara VT. Very a good one, despite the thick accent. Azalea or Azil is what you would find on YouTube. Um, she came out recently and she's killing it. There's also Efron, who's doing something more. Oh, legendary treasure. Really? Okay. Efron, who is kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but she's really aggressive with it. Definitely very active and very in your face, and not always my vibe, but I do enjoy it. There's obviously Bella BRC, who came out with Dysphoria Sucks, one of my favorite videos of all time. And recently I learned about, what's her name? Fizz, who's also been a wonderful influence, a wonderful impact on my life. And I kind of want to get into that as well in the ways that I can. And I think this is a good avatar. I'm not bashing it, but it's a lot less expressive than, you know, a full VR chat a full VR chat model, full VR chat headset and everything, you know, a full VR chat setup, so to speak. And on top of that, I want to get out of America. I currently am in Canada with my girlfriend, but I'm only visiting and I want to get more permanent residence here, and that's not easy. I mean, anyone who has immigrated will tell you that, even if it is, you know, on the easier side of immigrations. And so, leave my Patreon in the description. I don't think I'm going to do Patreon exclusive content. I mean, maybe I will in the future, but it's not on the plan. It's not on the book for now. It's just, that's an infinitely better way to monetize myself than just YouTube ad revenue. You know? I started streaming again with my mic on, and that's also helpful. So if you want to get Twitch subscription there, that also helps. I think less than Patreon, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I'll be back soon, hopefully. I don't know when, nor do I know where. It could be in this server, in my own Minecraft world, a new Minecraft world, or back to Balatro, because Balatro's a great game. But, yeah. I'm not leaving. I know that for sure. Hi. Oh, bye. But yeah. Gone fishing, I guess. That's where we leave this off. Thank you for being here. Because you don't have to. But you are. And that's wonderful. Goodbye. For now.